mind the guys who are the critic sphere of podcasts and will sit around and do a hour-long critique of somebody else's podcast.
I thought you were going to say like a movie or something. I was just like, because
those guys are terrible as well. But to critique a podcast or to critique of a podcast.
Welcome to 2025. All right, and hello and welcome to Royal Path. I'm your host, Andrew. I'm going to ask you guys, do you think Michael Jackson is innocent or guilty?
Michael Jackson? Well, he's dead. Michael Jackson is dead.
Yeah, when he was alive.
Oh, well, that depends. Innocent or guilty of what?
Of what?
I think the charges. Okay. I don't really know. Like that.
Did he ever actually have criminal charges against him? I don't think he ever had criminal charges against him.
That's kind of the crazy thing is he had charges filed against him, but they never really seemed to stick.
No, but those weren't criminal charges.
Everything for him was like a civil suit, wasn't it?
He had civil suits against him.
But
yeah, I don't know. I just watched a video. Speaking of YouTube, because Cyprian and I were talking about the YouTube before we started recording. But I just watched a video from a guy that basically just presented the evidence, granted, in a 15-minute long video. So that's my deep dive into this subject. But where he basically, what's that, Father?
Oh, it'd have been great if you had asked whether people before Adam and Eve. Now that would have been a question. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
That's fair.
Why do Nephilims look like clowns?
I mean, why do
they?
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah.
I didn't even know they did.
There's like this thing, another video I watched, about a 10, 15-minute video I watched that said that it's a lot. There's like a lot of similarities between clowns and like shamanism, as far as painting your face, your body white, red nose, and there's like these like certain postures that clowns do that have been like similar or inspired by like renditions of demonic stances, like the thing standing on your hands, looking up and stuff like that. It's kind of interesting. And then it's interesting to note how involved the Masons are in like the creation of the circus and stuff like that. And like,
yeah, and think about shamanism just in general, right? Cyprian, I mean, just think about how shamanism works and even like getting into like the totem and then the channeling and all that stuff. And it's like,
Are we saying relative to clowns? Are we still in the clown context?
Yeah,
right
because
we never left the clown.
We never left the clown context. Yeah.
Send them in. Send in the clowns.
Yeah, send in the clowns. Yeah.
But the ringleader has a hat. The ringleader has a specific hat, and that's a Masonic. That's a little like winking a nudge to Masonic, Masonic principles, from what I understand.
Oh, the top hat. Yeah. That is a thing.
The whole thing is like a hallucination. It's like, well, there was clowns all getting out of a tiny car while elephants were rolling on balls, and a guy whipped tigers while people were like doing flips in the air. Like the whole thing is like kind of this like fever dream circus thing.
Alice Wonderland.
I don't know. But speaking of clowns, I'm just not entirely convinced of Michael Jackson's guilt. That's all I'm saying. I'm sure I'll get schooled. Like I'm sure someone's going to come up to me and say, hey, this guy definitely did it, and here's why. But that's all. Do you guys know your walk-up music? Do you guys know what the walk-up music thing is?
From wrestling?
Yeah. Do you guys know what your walk-up music would be?
Entrance music.
Your entrance music?
Oh, man.
That was the better question. I was debating between the two, and I picked the first one, but now
well, it's like Cyprian said the last episode, your first take isn't always the right one. So
100%.
No.
I wish life had more second take opportunities.
It has more than you think, actually.
Yeah,
it's got a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
In fact, it's one giant second take until you're dead.
That's true. That's true.
You know, I honestly do not know, but what I can say is that entrance music or theme music is so important.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It cannot be understated how important your theme music is as a character. You got to have it, you know? And it's so subtle, and the things that people don't. Well, okay, so look, back to the clowns. Let's go back to the clowns. Let's go back to Send in the Clowns, right?
Mm-hmm.
The clown entrance music, you know what it is. You know, like you're thinking it as I'm saying this. You're thinking, you're thinking it in your head, right? And it's like, is that what it is? Is it a mockery?
Yeah, yeah. The whole thing.
Yeah, I guess it is. It's in like minor chords, and it's like,
yeah. Think about the whole demonic thing is ultimately like a mockery, right? And then when we start getting into I know I'm derailing everything, but then we start getting
into No, you're not. No, you're not. This is it.
The principalities, you know, and their what they think are their handlers, but everything's about a mockery, right? People, and I've been having these conversations with people a lot in the last few days, weeks. And you know, I had some interesting conversations at the monastery, interesting conversation with some brother priests and stuff, and I think there's certain things that people aren't aware of. And once you're aware of certain things, it's like light bulbs start going off, like mockery. Like people don't understand some of the movements of the demonic. Everyone has this perception that it's all about the kind of the fear, the terror, and it's not always. Actually, they mock.
I mean, is it ever?
Yeah. It is sometimes, yeah.
Yeah,
but they mock because, well, look, when you start making moves, like Andrew's moving his camera, when you start making moves,
don't do that.
It's a nice camera, by the way. I like the.
I know.
Well, it's the Mac. It's a Mac camera. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
But when you start making moves, anyone who's made moves, like real moves, they get pushback, and that pushback, is to some degree always about intimidation. Like, oh, you want to actually move towards the light. You want to actually, you know, you start getting some sort of pushback. And then it morphs and then it changes. But yeah, I think there is that terror at sometimes. But a lot of times what I'm trying to get is like a lot of times there's a mockery. And because mockery is often lost on the slow and the ignorant, right? Because mockery isn't really for the person you're mocking, right? The mockery is for the one who's doing the mocking. So oftentimes it's lost, it goes over the head, right? And so when you point that out to someone, they're like, "Oh, I don't know about that. Why would this just be, you know, no, this is simply face value what I'm seeing." And I'm like,
Aren't zombies like a mockery of the resurrection?
100% they are.
Yeah.
And so are vampires in a certain context. Yeah.
Speaking of mockery, I like how I asked two separate questions and did not get answers to either one of them. So how about Father, could you guess what Cyprian's walk-up music would be?
I can't guess what it would be, but if I was to assign one to him, it would be that one killer track from the Tron soundtrack by Daft Punk.
I love that. I love that pick, Father.
Love you, baby.
I love that pick. That's a great pick.
Yeah. And Father, what would yours be?
What's my context? You give me the context. I have a couple. There's one that's forbidden. I can't.
You're walking to the ring. You're walking in.
Well, but your character is a paladin character.
Yeah,
Father. You come out. You come out with a cross, giant cross,
Yeah.
you come out. That's
Yeah.
that's your character.
I think honestly, I have two. That particular one, like you're saying, that archetype. It's Kiko from Deck and Dance. It really is like the song that I'm using for like we're using for Synaxis. That's like that one. But you know, I'm gonna out myself for everybody. It's just I only have a few moves left, right? So I've been saying this to people. If you don't understand me, I'm gonna give away all my secrets tonight. One of the secrets that you should know about me, if you want to understand me, is I am a villain trying to be a good man.
Oh man, you said it, Father. You
I
said it.
I am a villain trying to be a good man, if you want to understand me. And so because of that, my real theme song would probably be like Servant Die from Ga'an,
Oh wow,
Ga'an.
yeah.
So yeah, that's
I don't know that one.
yeah. I'll send it. They're the ones who
did our theme music.
They're our theme music.
That is our
Ga'an.
They did our theme music.
Yeah, but it's a different track. But yeah.
Well, mine is easy because of my last name. But as of right now, if I
Maggot Brain?
What?
Maggot Brain?
Well, no, it's pronounced funk. But
I thought you were going funk. Maggot Brain, like Funkadelic. Do you know Maggot Brain?
No, I don't.
Oh man, we should.
What is it? What are you coming out to? Jamaica funk? What are you coming out to?
No, it'd be the end of King Kunta by Kendrick Lamar. Just the part where he says, "We want the funk."
Oh,
we want the funk.
Yeah,
okay.
That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, it was. The Beastie Boys have a song, "Do It," where they sample Biz Markie. And there's this part at the end where he says, "We want the funk."
That's pretty good.
So, yeah, but I think actually the King Kunta one is more of who I am right now. That's who I am. That album is the brush that God is using to color in my soul. So
you're hearing a lot of hip hop from you lately, man.
Which is weird.
You're on a hip hop kick? What's going on?
No, yeah, I am. Probably about a year ago, my daughter got me headphones. My 19-year-old from told me I could listen to hip hop again.
Yeah.
I realized it's never been my favorite music ever, but I've realized I have consistently liked it since I got into music. And my wife kind of told me, she was like, "No, you used to listen to a lot of West Coast hip hop when I first met you, and then you fell out for a while, and then you got huge into Beastie Boys, and you've always loved Wu-Tang." And then I've just been kind of getting more and more, like I've been trying out people I've written off for a year. It's repenting. I'm repenting. I'm trying to say like Michael Jackson. One of them, I was just always written this dude off, and I got to go back and say, who am I to?
Oh, come on, Michael Jackson, super talented.
But here's
super talented.
Who am
super
I?
Talented.
Who am I to think I'm above drawing from the communal pool? Who am I to think that I can't draw an artist that is popular? And that fact that I have such a bias against that from my House and On days as an idiot, that like, who am I to think I can't go in and listen to music that was popular that I've always subconsciously written off as, well, this is for the NPCs, the idiots, the masses, the asses are masses type of music. And that's what keep the sheeple down. I'm like, am I above that? I'm not above that. Because I'm listening to it and I like a lot of it. I'm like, well, maybe I'm just an ass. Maybe I've just been like a snobby ass for like the past 25 years. So just go back and check it out.
Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club.
Hey, it turns out Maroon 5 is not that bad. Their first album, their very first album, it's not that bad. So,
well, it's like we were just talking about with the people who have 2 and 3 million subscribers. I mean, there's a reason that they're like a platinum selling band.
Yeah. Oh, that's
like
true.
The thing is, you can't just be horrible.
You
and
can't
sell a million records.
You can, and I have example.
Who, Little Yachty?
Well,
Don't say
Ed Sheeran.
Whoa! How did you do that?
Well,
okay.
What happened?
Okay, is that because the clowns thing? How did you do that?
I don't know what happened. I'm just gonna wait.
What is going on?
Okay, who's the band, Andrew? Who's the band?
Well,
That's terrible.
what did you say though? What's the
I
joke?
didn't say anything.
Oh.
I didn't say
No,
anything.
you like flick the screen and like you like.
I just went. It was just perfect
And
timing.
like it was like
perfect
and
timing.
we started out and this became a Kubrick movie. It's like
Yeah, I don't like that it does this. But Ed Sheeran's terrible. I mean, his
okay.
music,
Hold on.
From a pop standpoint, he's not even really like his songwriting isn't like what has got this dude so big. And we've talked about
okay. Ed Sheeran and Michael, because that's what I said. Michael Jackson is super talented, and Father was like, eh. So here's the thing: Ed Sheeran is super talented in the way that Michael Jackson is super talented, right? And it's like this: you're never going to get any innovation from them. Zero. They're not going to innovate anything, but they can do. And in pop music, if you give them like a tune that somebody else has done, they can do that tune better, like in a more appealing way than the person who originally did it. It reminds me of, I guess it's in the movie Amadeus, right?
Salieri?
I think it's, where he's Salieri like tells him, he's like, oh, let me play your song.
Yeah.
And he plays back his big tune. He's like, oh, it's like this? But you know, if I would have done it, I would have done it like, and he just like kills it. He just kills it and like embarrasses the dude.
Yeah.
That's the type of talent that Michael Jackson and Ed Sheeran have.
Yeah.
They just don't have the innovative talent that also Mozart happened to have. Right? Yeah. But they have this, I'll take what you did and I'll raise your level because I know all of like I know every trick in the pop book.
Because I think the thing for me is, you know, like for me when I think of Michael Jackson, and I'd just been on a Michael Jackson dive a couple months ago because but not for music, it was for something else.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I can't help but think of him and just like I guess the person next I think about is like Prince, and Prince is so totally categorically. Above and beyond.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like
100%.
You know what I mean? It's like
yeah.
It's like, well, if I'm already in this like part of the galaxy, I'm not even gonna waste time over there. I'm gonna just
But Prince isn't a pop artist though.
No, he's relatively he's more inaccessible without a doubt.
He is. That's true.
Absolutely.
That is true.
And
that is true.
I mean, I don't even I'm not sure I have a point here, but I would say that if we're it's almost like I know that they're often compared, and I think it's probably just because they like look similar and both were out wacky and stuff like that or whatever. I don't know. But what I would say is just like that's a little bit like saying, well, I'm not going to listen to Adele because I have, Celine Dion or
Amy Winehouse,
whatever. Yeah, okay, there you go. That's actually much more.
That's the perfect. That's the perfect like difference.
Yes.
Prince is Amy Winehouse.
Yes.
Michael Jackson is Adele.
Yeah, because I'm like I can enjoy both, and the problem I have with Prince really is like I want to love Prince. It's like the same thing with Mariah Carey.
How can you not?
Well, the songs are so sexy though. That's my problem. It's just like, oh, they are uncomfortable. This is like kind of uncomfortable to listen to. Like, I'm a 37-year-old man. I'm happily married. Like, I'm not really trying to sit in my office and listen to stuff like this. So,
yeah,
I mean, that's my.
He's doing a thing. He's doing a character.
Well, of course,
you know what I mean. He's doing a whole. He's doing a whole theme.
Another crazy thing I heard is that Dr. Dre doesn't even really smoke pot. Like I
don't think he does.
Yeah, so
I don't think he does.
What's with the chronic then?
I mean, everything's an illusion, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
which actually,
it's an act.
Everyone's a clown.
Everyone's a clown. Yeah, I think we found our theme for tonight.
But I think that's all. But isn't that also part of the art? Like to get back to the wrestling, right? Like, isn't that like the Undertaker's not really like a dead man,
right?
But for 30 years he didn't break kayfabe.
Right.
For 30 years he didn't break kayfabe. Like at all, ever. People were like, no, he would act like that in the locker room. He would act like that on the plane. You know what I mean? And it's just like, that was why he was so respected is he never broke kayfabe. And it's like, that's the art. And so
There's
I mean,
power
this
in
is
that,
what
by the way.
there's a lot of power in that.
There's power in that.
Well, it's occult power though,
Mm-hmm.
because you're wearing you're allowing the spirit to inhabit you.
I was just talking with one of the novices today. She came in and she was commenting on there's the portion in the elder, the guru, and no, was it the guru? I always butcher the name. The saint, the guru, elder Paisios, whatever.
Yeah.
And I always butcher that name. Anyways, but there's that portion in there where the young man, that's right, the young man, the guru, and elder Paisios. And the young man's talking about this, his kind of like encounter, the awareness of his demon possession. He had encountered this yogi. The yogi's, naked, whatever. He slaps him on the thigh, says, "I'll see you later," whatever. And then from that moment, he slapped him on the thigh. And he talks about how he felt this power leave the yogi from slapping the naked yogi and entering him. And the yogi kind of looks at him surprised, gets up and walks away. He murmurs something, he's surprised. And the young man's talking about this experience, and he's like, I didn't really understand it. And he's walking. He said, I felt such confidence. I felt like I could do anything. You know what I mean? And then he says that from there, he was crossing to an alley, and there's a group of like 10 thugs that were kind of like watching him and casing him. And he said, I had no fear whatsoever of them. I began to approach them. And as I began to approach them, they were huddling, and then finally they kind of broke rank, and they they began to approach me. He says like, where I would have usually just ran, scared. He's like, I broke out the kind of sardonic smile. He's like, I was, and then as one kind of yelled and rushed at me, I just looked at him, and he cowered in fear, and they all kind of like broke rank, and just I pushed one of them out of the way and just kept going. And he's talking about, this is the experience, like the power he felt. And then her and I were talking because of having similar experiences. And I said, yeah, that's it. You don't need to, you don't need to slap a naked yogi to necessarily have that, but it's a real thing. And, I think one of the problems we have, obviously, is that we talk about this so much, but these moments of possession, these moments of visitation, they happen way more easily and frequent than people want to recognize and acknowledge. You know what I mean? I'm going to say it, and I know it's kind of like whatever, but people in this conversation earlier this week with someone, this whole thing about liquid courage, right? It's called spirits for a reason.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's called spirits for a reason. And you notice that each culture had its own kind of thing with a different type of spirit, because now it all doesn't do the same thing. Bacchus is very different from Aries, so depending on what you're imbibing,
Well, people know this, right? Because like they'll talk about like a wine. People will talk about like a red wine type of drunk, which is like the way you feel is totally different and then tequila, they'll be like, oh, I can't drink tequila. They'll be fighting by the end of the night. If I'm drinking tequila, I'll be fighting by the end of the night. And it's like, yeah, that's that cactus, man. Like that's that agave for sure. And it's got all kind of crazy stuff in it.
I'm sure we've talked about this before. And Father and I just got back from a thing like 2 or 3 weeks ago or something like that, where it was like a mental health conference that was Orthodox, and it was supposed to be like it was supposed to be a kind of attacking, like looking to tackle the addictions and passions and how they kind of relate to each other and everything. I'm sure that we've talked about this before, but like one of the things I found really disappointing is that there's this whole conversation that was happening about whether certain concepts from the addiction world and stuff, which are kind of controversial, and I definitely have my opinions on them, are accepted. And like no one ever really talked about God. And this is like a room full of priests, and this is like a room full of people who are professing Christ to a degree. I mean, at least they're identifying themselves as Orthodox to some capacity because they're at an Orthodox conference or whatever. But people don't talk about it was not mentioned that this that there's a whole spiritual component to this whole thing. And, you know, I won't go on and on because this is like the crusade for,
Wait, you said to this whole thing. Are you talking about to addiction?
Yeah, I mean, but I don't
So
want to.
wait, so a room full of Orthodox priests talking about addiction, and
Well, it wasn't
and
just
no
priests.
one
Like,
said there was a spiritual
yeah,
aspect
it wasn't just
to it?
priests. We have to flesh it out just a little bit. There's a few priests, but it's clinicians.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
I remember it being like a 50-50. I was probably, yeah, I was
Yeah,
lacking sleep or something. Yeah,
Well,
so
the priests stand out.
the
for
priest
sure.
stand up.
If you have 4 priests in a room full of 50 people, you're going to be like, yeah, half the
And
room
you
was
know,
priests.
I'm so like tuned into the church that all I see is, you know, I only
Yeah.
focus on the priest, you know, that's the only thing I'm paying attention to. But yeah, because this is like the crusade right now. This is like there's a few of us, but the lonely voice in the desert or whatever. But the just like one example is like my sponsee is without a doubt suffering from brain damage and slightly perma tweaked because he used abusing stimulants for like 30 years. And about 10 of those was methamphetamine and 20 was IV cocaine. And he
Oof, man, that's rough.
yeah, he's relatively normal for but there's lingering. And the thing is it lingers because he was under the influence of a spirit. And there's something specific about methamphetamine. I don't know what it is, but like I'm not
You
sure.
can tell it. You can see it.
Well, I'm not sure I could tell if I was in a fentanyl neighborhood. Maybe I could. I don't know. I would think I would feel it maybe, but with meth, it's like electric. You can feel like the electricity in the air. So we live not too far away from an area which is notorious for heavy amounts of methamphetamine use. And you can feel it and you can see who's using it. And people used to walk in my door at my old job, and almost all of them were under the influence of substance. And I could just tell when it was meth. I could just smell it almost. So my point is that he is without a doubt with brain damage, but something changed in the last like 5 to 10 years where now people who are using IV meth or whatever, they're not like all the way ever coming back. They're like they have psychosis to a degree, and even when you take away their methamphetamine, they'll never be like 100% normal again. And I haven't done enough research into this as I should have, but one of the things I have noticed is that production has generally changed more or less from bikers in Northern California and bikers and whatever in the Midwest or whatever. It's been more,
Deserts of California.
well,
Deserts of
yeah,
California. Yeah.
100, but it's the cartel.
Mhm.
And the cartel worship a demon, the Santos Muertos, like, and that is a demon. And
Santa Muerte, yeah. Saint
Yeah.
Death.
oh, my fault. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
yeah. But they're like cursing the meth. It's like it's cursing meth, so that when people imbibe this substance, when they're taking it in, like they are. It's almost like it's a ritual because they. I mean, like same thing. Like my sponsee, when he would hear the ringtone for his coke dealer call him, he had to poop every single time because that's what good stimulants do. Good stimulants make you have to poop. So like a Pavlovian response, he hears that ringtone and he has to poop suddenly. And then there's the whole thing about like I remember what I'm trying to say is this becomes so ingrained in a person, like the ritual becomes so ingrained. And I mean, there's people who are addicted to needles, not even the drug anymore.
Yeah, the ritual of.
So they inject saline into their body rather than IV drugs. They inject saline. That's like becoming addicted.
And they probably actually get high to a degree.
Mhm.
I bet it brings relief.
They have some sort
It brings
of
relief.
reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But that's really important though, because one of the problems is, and then, you know, again, I feel I could speak for Andrew, but he'll have some nuance to it. Our contention is that this approach it felt almost exclusively materialist,
it was.
right? Which is it's fine if you're going to, you know, a secular conference, but when you're going to something that's supposed, you know, orthodox in the front, and you still walk away feeling it's a very materialist perspective, it's troubling. And you know, I'll just say this: it's just so funny because things like conspiracy theory, like even the fact people don't know that that's a weaponized term.
Hmm.
It's just one of those things where just anything to
The
undermine.
CIA invented it.
Yeah. And so, like, I bring this up at this juncture in our conversation because what Andrew said there about people being addicted with needles, what people really don't understand is that it isn't just the substance, right? It's the ritual.
Yeah.
It's the ritual behind it, and that, from my perspective, proves the larger point: is that when you're dealing with drugs, like if you really want to deal with it, if you want to address it, you have to call it what it is. It's pharmakia, right? And you have to call it that, not just because of the reality of like, oh, if I do this substance, it's going to, bring me into this, contact with the spirit. That's true and all that. But just even walking that down a couple steps, just in the reality of the ritualistic nature of it. And that you have people
Father, forgive me before you blow past it, because there will be some people who don't understand the significance of you just saying pharmakia. But I think it's like crucially important that we drill down into that word, because yes, using that word instead of drug or whatever is actually much more appropriate. But can you drill down into it so that?
Yeah, let me real time pull out my Ouija board and my magic book here.
Your scrying mirror. You've got your
scrying mirror. Revelation chapter 18. And the light of candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom shall be no heard more in the merchants, were the great men of the earth, for by their sorceries were all the nations deceived. So they're sorceries, but here's this other one here. And it talks about those who will not enter into the kingdom of heaven. And hold for me quick. 1 second. So
holding.
The cowardly.
Anybody else think that hold music with the just the drum?
Oh, the hold music.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes hard a little.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Okay. So the next one is Revelation 21. But the fearful, the unbelieving, the abominable, the murderers, the whoremongers, sorcerers, and that word there in the Greek is pharmakeia.
Mm-hmm.
And the idolaters and all liars, not just some liars, all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. So pharmakeia, which is like a big time principality. I mean, I remember I lost a parishioner over this actually because he worked for the industry and just couldn't handle that I was preaching against it. But guilty, you know what I mean? Because it is what it is, and just for instance, and pull me back if I'm off into the weeds too much. But I just want to drill down on this because the culture. Right? The culture of a corporation, right?
Meaning body,
because a corporation is a body, right? That culture of that body is the spirit of that body, right? And so we all know, right, that the pharmaceutical companies do not produce anything for the benefit of mankind.
Yes.
They produce to actually enslave and to leech off of mankind. Everyone know, those who don't know it, they're the ones who, did what they did in 20. We all know this. But what people don't understand, what people have, I know some people have, but in our circles, kind of trying to connect just orthodoxy in general, me saying this, people should not be like, oh boy, that's just beyond the pale. That's not orthodox. I'm gonna tell you, right? If you don't understand that, then I would say that temptation to say that this is too much is part of the problem, because that is what a principality literally is. Mm-hmm. The pharmaceutical companies, right, are a principality.
A big pharma writ large is the
Excuse me. Big pharma the spirit of that, right? And so pharmakeia, the practice of sorcery, which is the use of a material means to produce a spiritual connection or reality. That's what sorcery is.
Yeah.
Right. And so let's just be clear, right? Because it's not like this is a cult hour and we want to teach everybody how to do the stuff. But I think the lack of people understanding how this works. I've been thinking a lot about this. It's one of the reasons I was like, I think that's why I have to teach about these things the way I have to teach about it. Sometimes I wonder, it's like, oh, do I get too much into it for people because does it tempt them, the kind of curiosity? But I realized, no, I have to teach this way about the inner working because there's too many people, including priests, who they don't understand this. And so because they don't understand it, they think that, oh, that's just kind of like hullabaloo distraction. And it's not really like, I don't really need to worry about that. I just need to kind of like do my thing. And I'm like, I'm sorry. That's how the nations and the people have been beguiled, including how many people in the church who just are partaking in something and they don't realize that they're eating at the tables of demons, right? I mean, I know that's hard, right? I know it's just kind of like, this is too much, Father, but it's just like, I know I'm just that old man who's just not letting go. I get it, but I cannot let go what happened in 20 because that right there.
Nor should you, Father, by the way. Forgive me. Nor should you. Nor should any of us.
Yeah, I cannot forget it because that was the moment where I already saw, people already saw, but like that was the moment where everyone, if they wanted to, saw behind the mask and like what's really moving behind these things. And to act like to just go back to sleep is so problematic for me. So now getting back into mental health and addiction and all these things, it's like how insidious that the very industries that tout their purpose is to heal people, or actually it's the inverse of that, right? And who else does that? Who else or what else do we know will actually lie and intentionally say that they're doing something, but when in reality they're doing the opposite thing?
So
clowns, Father, clowns.
So just if we could just take a step back for just 1 second.
Pharmakeia, forgive me, sorry.
One of the topics that was protested by a priest during one specific talk in this mental health conference that we went to was the idea of medically assisted treatment. Mm-hmm. And for the uninitiated, medically assisted treatment is this idea that you are an opiate, you're addicted to opiates, although they'll use it for other addictions as well. And once you are detoxed from your opiate, you begin what's called a management medication, which is something like Suboxone. Mm-hmm. And basically what that means is that this is more or less, it's supposed to be like an opioid replacement. And mind you, I have several minds about this stuff, but let me just say this. The same people who are now really pushing Suboxone as this miracle cure for the opioid crisis were the people who created the opioid crisis in the first place.
Yeah, they're the manufacturers of fentanyl to start, right? Don't they hold the patents to fentanyl?
Oxycodone.
Oh, Oxy. There you go.
Oxycodone and Vicodin. We're talking about late 90s, early 2000s, where they were touting this is the miracle pain pill. This is it. We can take care of a lot of stuff with this pill, and it's not addictive and it's safe. Fast forward, we are now under the largest opioid crisis that this country's ever seen. And now they are the same, maybe not the same names of the same companies, but the same principalities, the same forces that drive these things are now saying that Suboxone is the miracle thing. It's the thing. Now, there's little to no research stating that there's problems with this stuff, other than there's immense problems with this stuff. But again, if you pay attention to ritual, and you pay attention to like what it means to ingest this substance in the first place, even if it's deemed free, you understand that and I have thoughts about this. If anybody ever talks to me about this in person, I'll kind of break it down a little bit more because there's nuance. There's nuance here.
Always.
But I would say that generally speaking, the people who I actually had a person call my work one time and say he's never been more high than when he took Suboxone and he shoved it up his butt. He said that is the highest he's ever been. He's like a decades-long opioid user, and people get high off of this stuff, and people acting like it's not happening. It's not happening. And what was the most disappointing thing is that the same propaganda I hear in my extremely secular workplace is still being spouted here about it being safe, about being harm reduction, still being like policies surrounding how we handle drug addiction and everything, even though we had an example of harm reduction taken all the way to its end, which is Portland, Oregon, like a couple of years ago, when everything was decriminalized. You took away
How'd that work out?
Yeah. Well, but people still don't see it. They don't see it that it's still.
And Andrew, I think one of the things here that what you're saying, and I just to like add on to it here is, I think that what I'm hearing from you is that actually the orientation as to what is the problem, like that's the real thing. Like the problem is not that you're on heroin or that you're on oxycodone, that you're on any of these things. The problem is that you have a dependency, which is ultimately that addiction, that dependency is ultimately a spiritual problem.
That was Father's point that was getting at why he struggled with MAT. Because he's like, you're not addressing that thing right there.
Yeah. Well, it's about, I'm sorry, I'm in the weeds of this right now. So I'm trying not to jump over myself and get to, the point is it goes back to these, let me go one step further back. One of the reasons why I realized that we are such a litigious country is because of little hats, right? So we are a litigious country because of little hats. Yeah. Yes. But then
tiny hats. They're smaller than little.
Well, yeah, tiny hats. So step forward, then my next point would be litigious, lawsuit, legal, like pushback. There is a policy, like my boss is broken. I'm not meaning to do that, by the way. That's not me. But there's a policy that my boss did it again. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to. I'm sorry. I'm going to turn this off between now and
then. Are we on something?
What's going on? His brother-in-law is an oral surgeon and literally can be sued by clients if he does not offer them prescription painkillers. Because pain management is like right up there. I work with a couple of nurses. Pain management is right up there with vital signs, something else. I can't remember what they said, but pain management is one of the first things to be addressed. So dope them up as quick as you can. But then even then that's problematic because then the person can't tell you where it hurts and what the symptoms are because they're doped up. So when the very first thing, the first priority when it comes to the medical field's understanding of what addiction is and how it needs to be cured is to remove every discomfort. And that would be Suboxone. So, which is Antichrist.
Which is Antichrist.
The problem is the uncomfort is the catalyst by which addiction changes, by the addiction changes.
Exactly.
When you remove that component, all you get is anti-recovery. It's recovery in place of recovery, in which, yes, you get reunited with your family. Yes, you can work a job. Yes, you can, still kind of maintain a semblance of order. But the thing is once you take that thing away, the person reverts back to their faults.
Which, by the way, Andrew, like that is actually, and I think this is straight to Father's point. The parasite, the virus, whatever it is,
still getting fed.
The more advanced it is, the more successful it is, the less discomfort there is. Right? So it's like the most successful parasite is the one that doesn't kill the host. And as a matter of fact, it's the one that the host doesn't even know is there. And the most successful virus is the one that has the least symptoms, but is the most spreadable. And actually, as viruses mutate, that's actually what they do. The longer a virus is within an animal,
that's how it adapts.
That's how it adapts. The virus is trying It is trying to eliminate discomfort. It is to the virus's advantage that you remain comfortable. So what does that say? Right?
It means that
About
America
the
is the haunt
parasitic
of
demon.
demons.
That's it. Is
Because
that the pharmaceutical industry actually doesn't want you to die.
uh-uh.
It doesn't.
They-
It wants you to be able to work a job, because if you can work a job, you could continue to pay them.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
That's the key.
And also, not only that, but here's where it also comes also even more full circle of a person who actually pursues recovery will not find comfort in consumerism.
Correct.
Like a person who is in recovery fully will realize the silliness and the dopamine rush like that happens with internet shopping or with buying fast food or whatever. They're going to be more conservative because they are less impulsive. Now, if you don't take that away, the person still remains good consumer number 251,700,000.
But this is really important though, because what happens is that person at that point is now beginning the process of becoming a spiritual person.
Mm-hmm.
The person who is allowing themselves to feel the discomfort.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Well, of course.
The person who's like, yeah, I could, but I'm not going to get that XYZ, Wendy's
asceticism
or whatever. It's
isn't it?
It's asceticism.
It's asceticism.
It's asceticism. And that's why, like there's the question I get asked in catechism. It's like, well, how can you tell? This is a whole thing. I don't know if we should drill on this, but just real quick, it's just like, how can you tell a parish that's kind of worth going to or not? Sacraments are sacraments, great. We all know that, okay? But
are they fasting?
Is that parish, is that priest, and thus the parish living somewhat of an ascetical life? Yeah. If they're not, it's not going to have any salt. It's not going to have any salt, and that's really key because, this is where, it's like, the sacraments are the sacraments, but if people and there's parishes that have no ascetical conscience. And you see people communing, but they never confess. They don't fast. They don't whatever, but they commune. The senses are dull. The senses are dull. So that's a real thing. That's a real thing. And the dulling of the senses. That's why. For instance, a kind of trope that we've all heard of is that in the quote unquote third world countries, the demonic is so easy to see. Well, yes, because as a country becomes, as a civilization becomes more developed, well, what's the fruit of development, guys? The first and I would say core value and fruit of development is luxury and comfort.
Yeah.
That's right. That's the first thing. And luxury and comfort. Don't get me wrong. Clearly, I'm comfortable. You know what
Father,
I mean?
And tolerance.
Tolerance.
Because you can make, because there you have more, because the abundance and because of the comfort, you have more leeway to allow things that are chaotic and not in order.
Well, that is also
whereas if you're struggling and you're living on a razor's edge, one wrong move means you starve, then you're like, hey, that guy's acting that way. Get it? No, we don't tolerate that.
That's why there's a whole problem we have too, where I think there's some people that just don't understand certain things. I don't mean that in a condescending way, but it's just kind of like there's a level of debauchery that you find in developed countries that they want to tout a certain type of conservatism, but it's like this was like people this is the whole thing about the Victorian age, right? A lot of people like they don't understand. Well, the Victorian age was what's on the markers of that, the Marquis de Sade and all the stuff that was going on behind the scenes, right? Because that whole period of time had that outward veneer, but inwardly all this debaucherous stuff was being developed, right? That spirit, right? So the development reveals, and this is, look, you don't know what I'm talking about? Let me prove it to you. What was the sin of Sodom and Gomorrah? What was their sin?
Sodomy?
Was homosexuality?
Yes, but that's not really what the problem was. See, people don't know this.
I don't
Okay,
know.
go ahead, Father.
The problem was that, and it says that we can pull up the spell book and look it up. Uh, it was for not stretching out her hands to the needy. That's what Scripture says.
Right, right.
You did not.
Like
You did not.
a lack of hospitality,
Yeah, a lack of
basically, in a way.
hospitality. You did
Yeah.
not stretch out your hand to the needy, right? And so, therefore,
Oh, Father, which of course, because right before that, that was the virtue that Abraham had displayed.
Yeah.
right? So they did
And
not.
so they're like, now we're going to go down and punish these people who aren't doing what you're doing back here.
So the thing
Okay,
is,
got it.
their lack of that led into I would. It's not the other way around. It's not like, oh, they were this because of their sodomy, their debauchery was the fruit of their excess.
Oh, okay.
It was the fruit
and
of their
self-centeredness
excess.
and selfishness.
Yes,
Got it. Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense, Father.
Yeah, yeah. So we have to understand this, because this is one of the reasons why when we start talking about being a Christian and all this and that, or being Orthodox more in particular, right? We have to understand this ascetical aspect. And asceticism isn't really about denying yourself. That's another thing, because yogis do that, and the Muslims fake do it during Ramadan. You know what I mean? They fake do it. They gorge themselves like as soon as the sun goes down. But anyways, asceticism isn't masochism. It's not about torturing yourself. It's about actually acquiring a sensitivity for a higher thing. Asceticism is about love. An ascetic is one who loves the higher thing, loves God, loves spirituality, loves the fruits of the spirit.
While loving the thing on earth too, right? Like,
yeah, it's not even like a disdain for the things of the earth.
yeah. Because isn't that story?
Well, if you disdained it, forgive me, Andrew, if you disdained it, then it's not, then abstaining from it is there's nothing there.
Yeah, what virtue?
It's meaningless, right?
Right.
Isn't there that story? What, Father, wasn't it Saint Joseph the Hesychast? Maybe someone gave him a watermelon, and then like later on they looked it up.
No. That was Saint Houston Popovich. He gave him watermelon, and his spiritual daughter, who was his cell attendant, peeked in the whole keyhole, watched him eat it, and he poured ashes from the censer on it. And she rushed like, Oche, why did you do that? You love watermelon, whatever. He's like, yeah, I love it too much. That's you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
because I think that's an important distinction for me, because when I first gave it a shot at asceticism, that was like, I was like, no, you don't want this.
Yeah, that's not it.
Yeah.
And anyone who's actually had some time learning how to fast according to the church, you learn that that's not it. Because if you do that, you never actually enter into a fast. Let me just say, it's in Ezekiel 16, and it says, behold, this was the guilt of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters had pride, excess of food, and prosperous ease, but did not aid the poor and needy. I didn't make that up. That's the scripture. And so this is the thing. These are the things that lead to the stuff. So when we drill down on, and I want to link this to the mockery and to the clowns. When you drill down on the debauchery, I had this epiphany, guys. I don't know. I had this epiphany. I realized, looking back, on how the alphabet soup agenda and that movement, and I really looked back and I started realizing at least right now, I may see something different tomorrow or next year, but right now as it stands, I'm realizing something now that I didn't realize before, and it's getting back to that mockery thing, because it isn't, and it wasn't just about kind of like perverting and undermining, in the sense that we understand it as quote unquote conservative people. You have to go even higher up. Remember, I was talking earlier about people. The mockery isn't for the person being mocked, but the one who's mocking. it so often goes over people's heads. I realized looking at the clownish nature, think about Carnival and how Carnival is a blueprint and an archetype for the Pride Parade.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's exactly the Pride
You
Parade.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
That spirit,
Yeah.
that lecherous mocking spirit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I look at that and I go like, Lord have mercy, right? Because basically, um, dancing and celebrating our demise. There's
Yes.
a saying that the demon of fornication will rise above all the others at the end of the age and gloat
We're there.
how he took more than all the other brothers, meaning the vices. I
Yeah.
think that there's something to that, but not in the way of just kind of like the kind of mechanics of it, but it's the way that man is so easy giving himself over to it, and it's a mockery. See, this is why sexual immorality is such a big deal. And what's shocking is how many parishes don't really toe the line on this. I'm not talking about people falling into sin. We all fall into sin. There is no man who liveth and sins not. But I'm talking about turning the blind eye to it. I'm talking about um, just almost kind of like, it's just the culture, like whatever. It's it's problematic because
Father,
it's a
for,
mockery. Yeah.
forgive me. What just came to my mind is like why that spirit of lust is so powerful in the context of what you're saying is that it is actually the only one that people feel ashamed to address. Like it's the only one that people are like, oh, we can't talk about that particular sin here in polite company,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like where it's like everything else,
Mm-hmm.
all the other ones, you want to talk about gluttony, you want to talk about anger, you want to talk about avarice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we could talk about how greedy people are. We could talk about the seed of the sin of greed. We could talk about all those things in polite company, no problem. But lust, we absolutely cannot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we can't discuss that here. And so it's like, well, if you can't discuss it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
then of course he's going to get away with everything,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? He's the one you can't ever address. So it's like, okay, well, then you're done.
That's right. And there's a weird thing about the hiddenness of it. You're talking about the virus and its success by not being, you know, it's not even that it's not detected, because here's a whole thing. My wife just did a whole, cleanse, toxic cleanse, parasite cleanse and stuff. And it's like, you don't realize there are signs, but they're the signs that you don't think to look at.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so because of that, you just kind of like, oh, you know what I mean? And in a weird way, they got you participating in it. You know what I mean? Because when you don't acknowledge, when you're looking for kind of more obvious symptoms, what's motivating that is the vainglory. Like, I'm going to address these obvious things, your vanity. So that's one instance where vainglory can serve you, because you can be like, well, these other sins are, these symptoms are so obvious that I'm going to address it because people are going to see it. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
But if it's not as easily addressed, then it's kind of like, well, you know what I mean? And you can like push it aside. And all the while, the real damage is happening because you become almost, it can cripple you. It can cripple you, because that's one of the things about, people who are functioning addicts, right? The thing is just like Andrew's saying, the pain point of shame and the pain point that would cause them to make the change is never there. So what happens is like, I know a guy, I know a family who's, he wasn't even really a functioning alcoholic, but he kind of was by definition, insofar as he was still able to keep his 6+ figure job. You know what I mean? Even though he's like running into buildings and like doing all this stuff. And it's like all these things happen. And it's because he's able to kind of like keep it buttoned up just enough to make the money, keep it buttoned up. But it's like it had gotten to the point where like there was nothing they could do for him. No interventions, no whatever mattered. And it killed him. And then lo and behold, oh, there's all this other stuff come to find out in his hidden life. Terrible, terrible, dark things. So this is what I'm talking about, because those terrible, terrible, dark things that nobody knew about, those are the things that are really going to hit him in the judgment.
Yeah.
Those, do you understand what I'm saying?
100%.
Those things are what's really going to hit him in the judgment. And so I think this is getting back to the MAT thing and like what's really behind these things. Like, we are doing people such, and going back to pharmakia, that principality, it's mocking people. It's getting them to participate in their own destruction. Because by eliminating the pain that's necessary to repent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Medically assisted therapy, like Suboxone in that way, is totally giving someone who is an opiate addict Suboxone is an absolute mockery of
I'll
them.
I'll tell you what.
Oh, it's so insulting. It's
insulting.
horrible.
I'll tell you what. And like in real talk, anecdotal, it's anecdotal, whatever, but it's like,
oh man,
I got spiritual family, who he was, he was a junkie. And he got on Suboxone and that made it worse.
Yeah.
He's dead now.
Yeah.
He's dead now. The Suboxone made him worse because the Suboxone facilitated the deception and the keeping it together. And like, you know what I mean? It made him worse.
Yeah, I'm good. No, I'm good. Mm-hmm. As long as you could say I'm good, mm-hmm. you're on the spiral towards death. It's only when you're like, I'm not good. Mm-hmm. I need help, which is rock bottom. Mm-hmm. Like that's the only, and with the Suboxone, you will never hit rock bottom.
And I'm going to say what's even scarier. I think this is really what's important because I hope that sharing this tale of caution will give, God will grant him some measure some measure of grace in his judgment by me sharing this cautionary tale. He's an Orthodox Christian. He's the second personally, not like kind of like tertiary or like, oh, I've heard this, like personally. I've had two people who I personally know die, Orthodox Christians die from opiates. Mm-hmm. Right. And the thing that's scary that people never talk about, because I don't think people know about it, is that what it does to you spiritually. See, the person who's on opiates has a really strong potential for a very profound repentance because they understand the soul on an opiate. There's this window in which it can begin to experience the absolute kind of like despair of hell and still have a measure of light, in the sense that there's this weird space, because what it does to you is not the same thing as like what meth does to the soul, right? Yeah. Meth is a worse demon, I think.
I would agree
for sure.
The louder demon,
for sure. But the thing that's scary about the person on the opiate, and I've seen it happen again twice, if they don't go through that, if they don't take that small window, and that window's provided by pain, if they don't take that small window, what happens is they will slide into a very, very, very powerful delusion. And this is where I've seen it. You can get people who they're deluded and they fancy themselves having some profound spiritual experience.
Yeah.
But they're deluded.
Yeah, I mean, there's like footage of like people in Pennsylvania or whatever doing fentanyl, and they say it's like a kiss from God. Mm-hmm. Like they literally talk about like that because, well, and then not only that, but then the delusion of.
But culturally, forgive me, culturally, because this I really wanted to get to this. Culturally, there's a romanticism with opiates, at least in certain circles that people aren't necessarily aware of, where some people
train spotting.
And back in the day before train spotting, it was, said Nancy, like there was this there's been this kind of romanticism with it, you know. I mean, even to a lesser degree, what's his name, Lane Staley, whatever.
Alice in Chains.
Yeah, but there's a mystique behind it. There's a mystique behind it that causes the person to really, you know, want to like find themselves as this tortured soul. This is what I'm trying to get at. So the delusion of the tortured soul is particular to the opiate addict and
heroin chic.
Yeah. And I want to make this connection here because I think there's some people who could be like, man, I don't know about you guys tonight. You're talking about all this stuff. Like, where's the orthodoxy? Where's whatever? It's like, if you don't see what we're talking about here, like you're kind of like, don't get it, obviously, because all of these movements, this is precisely what the demons do, but with something else.
Yeah.
Right. It's this veil of, you know, it's deception. I think that's what I want to get across is like, there's a real deception here that I think people are ignorant of, obviously. And that deception, unfortunately, the demons will try to get people to participate in, which I think to some degree, this is the argument, but that's what MAT is, I think, to a greater degree, right? And ultimately, this is what, there's nuance, of course. I get it. Someone's going to clickety-clack about, you know,
not anymore.
Yeah, this drug saved my granddaddy's life.
Clickety-clack somewhere else. If you want clickety-clack in Synapse, you can go to Synapse Sophia and clickety-clack if you want.
Pushing enter, nothing's happening. But
not on these comments.
But the point I'm trying to get across is that this is the thing behind the pharmaceutical principalities, the pharmakia. It seeks to produce a connection and an experience that is antithetical. It's like, I think either one of you are both saying it produces a very antichrist experience.
If you look at a methamphetamine lab and you look at an alchemy table, they're not too far away from each other.
No, they are the same thing.
They're the same thing. Yeah.
There's not, I mean, they're not. Alchemy and chemistry are the chem is the same. It's the same thing.
Yeah, and
one's the father, one's the daughter.
And you know, do you know? I just found this out. Do you know why Old Dirty Bastard calls himself Old Dirty Bastard?
No,
because there is no father to his style. I just learned that. Yeah, that's why he calls himself Old Dirty Bastard.
Okay, all right. So,
cool. But no, hold on. I do have a real thing. I have a real thing I want to say.
Go ahead.
What was it? About the pharmakia. Oh, dang it. I lost it. I should have said that thing about Old Dirty Bastard.
You had your chance and you ruined it. No, Father, I think just to draw it in, you were like, oh, well, what are they talking about? There was something I wanted to talk about. I shared this with you guys, and I think it's totally related, right? Because we're talking about this sort of like this delusion, this mockery, this inversion, the fact that like the you know, this idea that you're having some sort of a spiritual connection because of this, but it's not real. And as a matter of fact, it's driven by the demons. And so did you figure out what it is, Andrew?
No, it's actually exactly what you're talking about. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing. People who ingest methamphetamines over the course of several years, whatever, I never, ever, ever have to convince them that the devil is real. Except with my sponsor.
No, they know.
My sponsor, no, because they have regular contact with them.
Oh yeah.
There's this whole culture around like I think we've talked about this.
We've talked about it before, yeah.
But gang stalking, like the shadow people, the tree people. Yeah. I've had people, and trigger warning, this is kind of a messed up story. I've had a guy say that he heard his girlfriend getting the R word downstairs in the basement. But she was like on the other side of town. But he was texting her and could hear her phone ringing downstairs the minute that he sent the text. Like she was getting the text, but she was like screaming for people to stop and all this different stuff. I've had like a guy came
delusions.
home. Yeah.
There's demons. That's demons.
I had a guy come
delusions. See, here's part of the problem. When we say delusions,
yeah,
right,
they are real.
The assumption is like, oh, a delusion is false. No, the
No.
conclusion that the person's drawing from the delusion is false.
Exactly.
And
It's
that's
the experience that they're having, right?
that's
It
ultimately
produces what's that?
that's psychosis. When you're making a connection from one thing to another that is false, that is psychosis. The connection. So I actually was talking about
Well, schizophrenia, right? That's a schizophrenia.
and it's interesting because schizophrenia in particular is this idea that you have unregulated saliency. So everything is incredibly important. And the psychosis comes when you begin to draw conclusions on why this thing is important, and you're at the center of all of it. So that would be something like I'm watching the TV and the weatherman is telling me
they're talking to me
rain in Seattle today, and that's code for that they're coming today, that they're coming to get me.
Yeah.
So the thing is that one of the key aspects of saliency is the need for the reward chemical dopamine. Dopamine can be manipulated by a couple of different things, well, lots and lots of different things, but for the purposes of this thing that I've been seeing recently, is one of the things about messing with the regulation of dopamine is that it ultimately is meant to like manipulate the way your brain works, the way that you react to things. So one of the things that happens in addiction is it actually inverts your dopamine release center to actually inverts it, and it rewards you for doing things that are harmful to yourself, whereas it would have been good before. Like it would have released if you had fixed your wife's car, or sat around and saw your kids eating food. That would be dopamine. You're being rewarded for doing something good. And to flip it, so when someone is having their dopamine manipulated like that, whether it be like through social media, methamphetamine, whatever.
Social media is way worse than the methamphetamine for the exact reasons we talked about in terms of how it manipulates it.
That is psychosis manifest.
Yeah.
Because now anytime dopamine is being regulated, one of the first things, so for my own personal logos, one of the first things that happens is when my dopamine is being regulated or whatever is being messed with in some way, the first thing I think of is, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? And actually that was something that I had to like repent of, is because when I first became a catechumen, I would take Adderall. I took Adderall for ADHD, right? And when I began to crash from the Adderall in my drug addicted state, I would think, what did I do to make God mad? Why do I feel bad now? I felt good before, and now I feel like I've made God mad, so I feel bad. Psychosis. Right away, I'm already living in a delusion because God's not mad at me. I'm coming down from Adderall.
Yeah, but I just want to point in real quick, getting back to a thing. This is the phenomena, but at the core of this is living fundamentally eudaimoc hedonistic lifestyles, because our feelings and feeling good is the barometer, and it's my awareness of truth and God and all these good things are contingent upon how I'm feeling.
Yes.
It's super important. Because
Yeah.
nobody talks about that. I'm telling you, I see it far too often where people are literally derailed. This is why when we talk about the need to some degree of people having some measure of recovery, 12 steps, whatever you want to call it, before they can even begin to enter the spiritual life, or parallel to that, people reading, Sarah from Rose talks about people reading Dickens, because they don't have a real baseline of what it means to be human, which means to be human is to live, above the measure of your feelings. We have 100% completely lost that. We have no sense of that in society whatsoever anywhere. And the pharmaceutical companies,
Father, I'm sorry, forgive me.
The mental health industry.
Can you just go back and repeat that, please? To be human is to live above the measure of your feelings, because that is the problem. That is the
problem. I'll even break it down, people, if you want to timestamp it. But I think the thing is this is also why people hate Christ. Because this is why mental health can't, I will stand by this. no one can ever truly achieve healing without Christ. I have no problem saying that. That's the problem with every clinician, every mental health person in regards of an industry, right? Is when they can't actually say it. And I have spiritual children who are therapists. They'll say the same thing. It's like, yeah, I can never truly lead someone to a healing point unless they have Christ, because what's the reference? We've talked about this. Like, Christ is the archetype. He's the blueprint. So if you want to know what it means to be human, you have to look at Christ. Well, guess what? Christ's whole life is about the denial of feeling, right? Why? Is because it's evil? No, but because of the fallen reality. And then pain, as Saint Sophrony says, is the way to experience yourself as you truly are. Pain is the means of that. And so the fact that we have, again, I'll say it, not only do we not have anything anywhere, including churches, by the way, teaching people that they need to really, at the very least, regulate, if not, kind of like renounce to some degree their worship of their feelings. Not only is that not happening, you have people actually doing the opposite, which is having people be further enslaved to their feelings, right? On every level.
That's the most important thing, actually. They're teaching, no, how you feel about this is actually way more important than anything else. And let's deal and address how you feel about it. And it's like, it doesn't even, it makes absolutely no sense to anyone who has ever done anything worth doing.
That's right.
And you know what else?
You know what I mean?
That's right.
It also ties in really quick. It really, really ties into this. Like, if I see one thing in common with every addict, or most addicts and most people suffering from mental health illnesses, is their inability to trust anything outside of themselves. If they can't trust anything outside of from their head to their toes, then they can't get better. And I mean, like, really trust something, like really trust that it's going to be okay. Really trust that, like, someone else has got you, blah, blah, blah. Because
you mean faith? You mean faith in God?
It's a bold claim to make, Cyprian. That's a claim. I don't know. Hopefully you can back that up. But yeah, faith, essentially. I mean, just the idea.
They lack faith. They lack faith in God, and thus they are addicted.
They don't fear God, so they fear everything else.
Well, if you have faith in God, you fear the fear of God and faith in God are literally the same thing.
Talking about the same thing right now.
They're the same thing.
Because they don't trust God, they don't trust anything. Because they don't have faith in God, they don't have faith in anything. Because they can't see God, they can't see anything. Like, there's nothing. It's all random, whatever. It's nihilism.
Nihilism.
But the measure of being, exonerated from your conscience by feelings. This is the thing, because ultimately, right, this is where the clown is very interesting. Because if we kind of start breaking that down, and we start breaking down how, like, let's think about the clown in not the Nephilim context, but just what does it do? Well, there's the rodeo clown, right?
Right.
And the rodeo, what's that?
Distracts the bull.
No,
distracts the bull, right?
Yep.
Distracts the bull. And what does the clown do also, like in the circus? Because the clown's never the main act.
He distracts the audience from them setting up the other ring.
That's right.
He's out there because they're setting up the other ring.
That's right.
That's why he exists.
That's right. So what is
they're setting up the trapeze? They're doing
right.
whatever. Yeah.
That's right. What is getting set up when the clowns are being sent in for you? See, this is
the next trick.
And the clown is the thing that people are like, oh, now what's interesting is there's been a whole one of those glitches where it's kind of like a nice little crack, little Freudian slip maybe, of people like, oh, clowns are scary, which yes. Yes, they are scary, rightfully so. But ultimately that's been their purpose and their use. And this distraction, I think this is the biggest thing, because the pleasure, the laughing, the chuckle, the kind of delusion, right? The illusion, right? That fever dream we're talking about, the absurdity and what that presents.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is the delusion that people begin to encounter in any state. I mean, I can't even make a connection when I was talking about the pride thing. It's like, the delusion that happens to people, to where they begin to conflate what their desire and what their feelings are to such a degree that they have literally whole swaths of society have broken away from abject, like, objective reality.
Yes.
Let's like really think about that, to such a degree that and this is great. People always say we're picking on the right, we're picking on the left a little today, because like
Trump derangement syndrome. They call it TDS.
Which
it just happened. We just had it. We just had the No Kings protest. That's what it was.
That has to be mimetic. Like, that has to be one of those like learned behavior. Like,
it's an addiction. It's a dopamine addiction.
It is.
Outrage, yeah.
Yeah, it's an addiction. Those people are addicted. Like, they got massive dopamine hits going out. And, Andrew, it's what we were talking about before we started about the critic sphere, right? About those guys who are like just going on and they're just trashing certain movies, pop movies, right? And so it's like, hey, let's just go trash this guy. Look, whatever you want to feel about him, he's way more successful than you. And when I say way more successful than you, I'm literally talking to every human being on the planet, because this man has accomplished everything. More in worldly terms than any other human being in the history of humanity, and he's been a dick about it the whole time.
I don't know. Genghis Khan did a lot too. I mean, like,
but he's done it without having to kill millions of people.
But hasn't he though? Hasn't he killed millions of people? I mean, I would say, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he's continued policies that absolutely make drug addiction and like
dude, yes, and like, but that's absolutely exactly the thing, right? It's exactly the thing to be like dopamine hit. Yeah, hasn't he killed 1 million people though? Like, dopamine hit. You know what I'm saying? We're addicted to it. We are. He is our drug dealer. Whether you on the left or the right, he is the ringmaster who is delivering dopamine hit after dopamine hit, man.
Yeah,
the great sorcerer, because Marina said it. Marina Abramovich. She said he's highest order magician.
Yeah,
highest order.
The highest order.
The highest. I mean, he's everybody's drug dealer. Think about how high he's getting. He's getting millions of people high just off his tweets, man.
Yeah.
They get either giddy or they get giddy in their righteous indignation.
I bet.
You know what I mean?
I bet. Like,
and when he starts talking about the time travel, no one's gonna be surprised.
Not at all. Not at all.
When he starts dropping, because people know whatever, but once he starts letting on that he knows about the time travel, then it's really going to be game on. Then it's going to be like, you know what I mean? I'm calling down fire. Yeah.
Well, I bet YouTube videos or whatever, or video essays or whatever they are, I bet the negative ones get a lot more attention than the positive ones do.
Oh, but that's actually known. There's that whole, I don't know if you've seen the movie Private Parts, the Howard Stern biopic. Really kind of a fun and cool movie, right? He plays himself, but it's the story of his life. Paul Giamatti is his like the program director who hates him, right? At WNBC or whatever. But there's this very famous scene in that movie where they come to Paul Giamatti with the ratings for Howard Stern. And they're like, hey, but you may not even know who Howard Stern is.
I know who Howard Stern is.
Okay, great. Okay. Anyway, this is in his early days, I think like in the 80s, right? When he was like doing his thing in New York. And they come to him and he hates Howard Stern. And they say, oh, the average person who loves Howard Stern is listening for an hour. He's like, yeah, but what about the people who hate Howard Stern? And they're like, they're listening for 2 hours.
Yeah.
So
But that's
like,
what I'm saying.
this is just known, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but like, I mean, I don't know. That says something to me that like, I mean, I watched a video where a guy said that basically like the liberal media is the people who got Trump elected because they got him so much attention.
100%.
And of course
100%.
it makes sense, but if like, I don't know, maybe
Bro, it's heel work. It's heel work.
Well,
It's
sure.
heel work.
It's also meant to like get people agitated.
Heel work.
And when
But
people,
that's what heel work
does.
is. Like,
sure, but then when they
look, who was the best in the movie Inglourious Bastards, right? Quentin Tarantino, right? Who's the best character? Well, it's Christoph Waltz's Nazi. It's the heel. It's the bad guy. He steals the show.
It's true.
He is the movie, the ultimate heel, right? And why? And when they asked Christoph Waltz about like, how did you play evil so well? Like in an interview, they were like, how did you do that? Because this guy is maybe the most evil character who has like ever been on screen. And you played him perfectly, like chillingly. And he said, he's not evil. He's not evil. But did you guys freeze?
No, I'm just like, you got me. I'm like, come on, man.
No, Christoph Waltz said he's not evil. That's how he was able to play him so well. Because you know what? The heel, who when he's played to perfection, thinks he's a babyface. The bad guy played to perfection thinks he's a good guy. Satan believes in his cause.
Yeah, Milton.
He believes his cause is righteous.
That's right. Vader.
I mean, isn't that the thing though, is that they all believe that their cause is righteous? Like Dr. Doom genuinely does believe the world would be a better place if he were in charge.
But if he didn't, he wouldn't be a great villain. This is what I'm saying. Right? There are villains who aren't fully sure that their cause is righteous and they're just desperate or they're doing whatever. Those aren't good villains.
What's interesting, because even this gets into the whole thing about how, you know, temptations from the right are so difficult because they're clothed in virtue. And that's the thing is, every time, you know, when you think about the enemy and you think about, I mean, the fact that he does have this this inverted sense, and there's you know, presents it's the Stones, you know, make sure that when you see me, you have some class, have some taste, you know what I mean? And even I'm thinking about contemporary portrayals, like who's done a good Satan, you know, the tendency is to usually have him be
Pacino, Devil's Advocate.
I was just thinking about Pacino's Devil's Advocate. He was good in the sense of, you know, there's some key things in there that made his devil really interesting, and it was a very modern take. But you know who played? I think people probably disagree. I mean, people have probably never seen it. You know who played an even more interesting Satan? Actually, I thought was De Niro.
When was he Satan?
Yeah, most people never seen it. There was this movie called Angel Heart that came out.
I have heard of this movie, but I have not seen it.
It was Mickey Rourke. It's the movie that ruined Lisa Bonet's career because it had that kind of explicit scene in it, whatever. But
that's right. That was why I remember it.
Yeah, but in it, De Niro played Lou Cipher, which is that's terrible, right? That's terrible. But there was some, but in his portrayal, the thing that I always remember about it, and I remember watching it, it was just fascinating because there was a kind of there was a kind of placating, dismissive, kind of he had this thing where he had the staff and he had these really long nails and he would just kind of like twitch with his nails. He's engaging or whatever, but it was showing his disdain. And it was this, and it isn't this kind of ravenous animal. It's this disdain for like, you're so beneath me, right? You're so beneath me.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And I think that's really fascinating to me because one of the things getting back to, I'm just stuck on this right now. This thing of it's when St. Paul talks about let's not be ignorant of the wiles of the devil. It's like everyone's looking for the stuff that's so over the top, but there's this thing that's just like, this is why Archangel Michael in the book of Jude says, even the Archangel Michael didn't dare bring a reviling accusation. And it gets back to, remember how a couple years ago we did that whole thing. Remember the demon killer, fa fa fa. The guy is like,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm the cap on the.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah, I'm coming back to that because I think in the thing it's kind of like when I'm looking and seeing about how where everything is moving now. And I think this is why kind of getting back to the medical thing, mental health, addiction, like there's these things where it's like the whole time, man, everyone was looking at the moral aspect, the gays in the street, being debaucherous and just whatever. All the things but really the even more insidious thing was the virus and the leeches using us, mocking us. You know what I mean? Having just complete disdain for us. And it's so important, I think, to bring that up because, I realize is like, people really don't have a hatred of sin and evil. They really don't. And I think it's because they enjoy it too much.
Yeah.
They get their kicks. You know what I mean?
Something that you said to me, Father. It's like I asked one time if I thought it might be for our benefit that we'd be a bit desensitized to demonic imagery so that we're not as freaked out when we see it. But you're like, actually, I think it'll be for our condemnation that we tend to identify a little bit more with those spirits than we do with angelic spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I know the feeling that this particular demon gave me, and I liked it. I liked the feeling.
Yeah, that gets back to how we started the conversation.
You always will. You always will like the feeling, Andrew.
Well, yeah.
No, those 2 points get back to that conversation I was talking about with the novice. Because I've had that feeling of being able to like that confidence, just like, oh, like that wickedness of like, oh, give me an excuse. Like that feels good. That's pleasurable. You see what I'm saying? And that is always the thing. But the whole time, really, we're just being used. So yeah. I think that's a key thing because I remember great guy, met him at Montanica this past year, really great guy. And he said this thing, he said, we're there's different workshops and stuff. And he said this thing about shame. And he was saying like, shame is good because it was the shame of me disappointing my daughter again from getting high that got me sober.
Yeah.
Every time.
Without that, I would have never gotten sober. And so the thing is like this, if people knew the disdain that we're held in, and I think that's part of why some of the psyop and the statecraft is so insidious, is that it's just people are being mocked by these, various displays all across the board. And it's all mockery of us for not holding to the nobility that Christ seeks to give us, because the noble one is the one who it will endure suffering and pain and deny themselves. That's the cross, right? And everything that we've talked about tonight is about moving against that. We've just kind of done it. I guess tonight we've kind of like looked at it from the inside out. because kind of doing a deep dive, because I think that's another thing is people don't really understand. There's a lot of people who just shake their head and go like, I don't understand how someone could be addicted. It's just like, yeah, then you don't understand your own life, because it's like
they're probably addicted. They're probably addicted to something. I could find the thing you're addicted to. If you say that, actually, if you are a person who would say, I don't understand how somebody could get addicted, I guarantee you're addicted to something, and I'll find it.
Well, it's psychosis. It's literally like drawing false conclusions based off of like empirical evidence. And you're essentially like, it's a denial of like your actual situation. And a lot of times that involves, okay, can I just say something really quick?
Go ahead.
Say something really quick. There is a shopping center here in Kansas City, and I pointed out to people that like, look at the manipulation. Okay, I'm just going to name the stores that are involved here, and I want you guys to think of who the target demographic will be.
Right. Target, Starbucks,
Starbucks, Target, Crumble Cookie, which is, by the way, started by a Mormon. Crumble Cookie, Old Navy, Home Goods, and then I think either Kohl's or TJ Maxx, one of the two. Anyway, need I go on? Right. So we all know who this is targeted to.
So women. It's women. It's middle to upper middle class women.
And I would go a little bit
with children.
I go a little bit farther and say it's to white women. And there's a reason why I would say that. But the point is that the manipulation is happening in a level in which that it's one of those things that happens with a certain relationship. And again, I'm just repeating myself. I'm an old man. I repeat the things I say. Yeah. But it's like this whole, most women that I know have a complicated relationship with Target. It's not I like it or I don't like it, or fine. Sometimes it's most times like, oh, me and Target, we go back, like whatever. It's like a complicated relationship. And I think it's like one of those symbiotic things that's happening where it's like the virus is there and you're aware of what's happening, but you're like, they're not willing to do anything about it because the desensitization has gotten to the point where now you have no baseline of what normal is, because there is no perfect man. There is nothing to model your life off of.
Well, but Target is normal. I think that's one of the things to like understand is that like Target is the final form of consumerism. Like which is why it's called Target.
Yeah.
Because it's like they finally hit the bullseye.
Yeah.
It's like what's the thing that we could do that is the final bullseye?
It's like the sixth person to point that out, because I talk about this a lot. And like you're like, oh yeah, it's a bullseye. I mean, we nailed it. We got it. Like it's the target.
Yeah, nailed it. Well, dude, I'll tell you, this happened just the other night. We are here. We have no such brands like that here. Zero. I walk in the door in the evening, and the thing that comes out of my youngest daughter's mouth, who's 6, is she says, oh, are we going to be going to California to visit like our cousins and stuff? And we're like, oh, maybe next summer. And they're like, do they have Target there?
This is a deja vu episode.
Because they asked me about this before.
We literally had this
happened. Dude, this happened 3 days ago. This was 3 days ago. But the reason why we're having it again is because it's to illustrate, right? Mm-hmm. That like the culture, because this is the techno-feudalism.
That's right.
Techno-feudalism. This is it. The culture the global culture is consumerism. Mm-hmm. And consumerism comes from the same spirit that Father was just described. It is the fruit of the spirit that was the spirit of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Medium is the message.
It's consumerism. Mm-hmm. That's it. It comes from this. It's because you have to, in order to have consumerism, you have to have so much abundance.
Mm-hmm. It's the only way possible.
You can have zero scarcity in order to have consumerism.
And what's interesting is even now it's a higher form of feudalism because
so high.
What's your boy's name? The Greek
Yanis Varoufakis.
Talk
He's
about
a beast.
That cloud credit
Cloudalists.
Cloudlet. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So just real quick, I mean, because I think turning people onto this, because some people probably don't know about this, but really, like, everyone's heard about the data and all the things is like what's really kind of like nothing's for free. You're being
you're
charged.
the product. If it's for free, you're the product.
You're the product, right? But the reality of how this techno feudalism is playing out in regards of like everything is the capital's in the cloud, and understanding how high this whole thing, right? My whole thing is like high technology, high sorcery is the same thing. And really,
even the fact that they call it the cloud, Father, even that it's in the sky, you know what I mean?
That in of itself is a whole thing. And the fact that we're moving, because that's a whole thing. I almost wish you could go back because time's up, but I almost wish you could go back. So I mean, economics, man. Like,
yeah, it's the thing.
It's
everything right now.
Economics. No one's like, maybe I shouldn't say no one. Is anybody watching economics right now? I know I am.
I
know I am.
I am not.
Yeah.
Should be. I'm not.
Well, you should be, because you're talking about Target and all this stuff. And it's like, well, that's the thing. If you're watching economics and you're watching how things are moving, right? This is the thing, because to kind of tie it into tonight, we've had these themes about the virus adapting, not being noticed. We've talked about the distraction from the clown, the clowns providing distraction, right? We've talked about all these ways that things are moving imperceptible in the sense of, above people's heads, but also too, it's intentional, all those things. The mockery isn't for you, right? Like, there's a whole thing going on, which to be frank, we're not a part of. And this is the thing, when you start poking your head into this stuff, and that's why I think it was Cyprian and I were talking about it. Or there was a portion we were kind of going back, or maybe you two were, but there's the portion I started talking about pushback. It's like, no, you start moving towards the light, you'll get pushback. I just show you something. You start moving into certain things, right? They have no problem talking about, you can talk about the demonic to a certain point. You can talk about tiny hats to a certain point. And I mean, no one's thinking about this. It's like, you noticed someone surely must be thinking, it's crazy. What are they calling it? The great knowing, or the great seeing? What are they calling it now? There's a term.
For conspiracy theorists or whatever?
No. When people talk about how everyone's noticing about the allegiance to Israel.
Oh no, the great noticing.
The great noticing. There's a term for it now. Come on, y'all. You don't think that that's controlled?
That is without a doubt controlled.
You don't think that's
100%? Like, that's the clowns. They're getting the other ring ready, man. They're getting the other ring ready.
Coming and going.
That's the clowns. I was just talking about this on Monday. Like, you guys, maybe we talked about this our last episode. I can't remember, but that's Lao Tzu. That's George Washington, right? Back your troops up to a mountain, to a body of water. They got nowhere to go. They're going to be galvanized and they're going to fight. They're going to fight. If you give them opportunity to kind of like, maybe I can dip, make it whatever, you're not going to get them, right? So all of this is to really galvanize the power. So it's not like, I know there's these people who think we got them on the run. We got them exposed. I'm like,
no,
we don't got them on the run, man.
Boy's building a ballroom at the White House. Your boy's building a ballroom at the White House, and he's paying for it out of his own pocket because the government shut down.
Little statues, what? So,
right? Come on, man. A ballroom, right? With the columns, with the statues. That's a ballroom, guys. That's not a temple. It's not a temple. It's not a temple.
Did anyone catch a sneak at what's the flooring? Is it black and white tile?
Of course it's got to be.
Yeah.
Of course it will be.
Well, there'll be a Tyler at the door. I guarantee you there's going to be a Tyler at the door for sure. But
exactly.
But anyways, I just think this is the thing is like looking at, because again, part of the problem is I think we're back to where we had this really sweet spot where people were kind of awake and seeing how everything is like,
But then it became salacious.
hmm?
It became salacious, like at a certain point. Like I think that's when we started to jump the shark, is like it was about the time where it was like a snowstorm a couple years ago, and people were saying that like the snow feels weird. Like this, it's like
Yeah.
it feels weird. It feels chemical.
Well, it's Three Eye Atlas. It's Epstein. It's it's
Atlas.
it's every single thing they are going to jump the shark. Like that's actually that's what the Cloudalists have built. They built a shark jumping machine. Right? So it's basically they can get away with anything now because the second it's Diddy. It's Diddy.
It's clowns.
Right? Which is the clowns, where it's like at the end of the day, like even this Diddy trial thing, there was all these, it's a crazy pedophile ring and he's doing all the whole thing. And nobody actually looked at what it ended up as. What it ended up as is that they said that his girlfriend was a prostitute. His longtime girlfriend was a prostitute, and he was guilty of transporting prostitutes because he was flying her around on his private plane. That's what Diddy got convicted of. After all that, after everything that they did, that's what he got convicted of. And we come to find out, the whole entire case was the feds getting Kathy Ventura to get up on the stand and say she was a prostitute. That was what the whole case was. And it's like, if you always jump the shark, think about how easy that is now. Well, now the elites can get away with anything because they'll do something that's legitimately bad, but you're going to jump the shark.
Yeah.
Like the next day you jump the shark. So like, okay, well, I just got away with it because I didn't do the thing you're saying that I did.
Yeah.
Not even close. I didn't even get close to that. So obviously I'm innocent.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the trick. That's the clowns.
Yeah.
That's the clown.
Well, I was going to say, speaking of clowns, but I don't have a transition out of that. So I'm just going to say we're running out of time.
We're out of time.
So something we are going to talk about before, and I had a bit, but I'm not going to do it, about we have running a promotion through the St. Mary of Egypt's convent that's here, the Mother of God Seeker of the Lost. And Father, you have the information about this.
Yeah, there's the convent selling, distributing for the diocese this treasury, the Serbian Treasury of Spirituality. It's this incredible volume set, and it's got the mystery, the battle of the mystical meaning, the Battle of Kosovo, which I've talked at length about.
Fantastic, 10 out of 10.
It's incredible book. Unreleased letters, rare letters from Saint Nikolai Venorovich.
That letters one is the one where someone writes him and is like, "I'm worried about global warming," and he's like, "That is such an odd thing to be worried about."
Yeah.
It's like one of the best letters I've ever read.
Actually,
like, why are you worried? And guys, is this tan or is this pink?
It's pink. It's a salmon. It's salmon.
It's salmon.
It's salmon. It's
Linton. Cyprian, what about you?
It's Linton.
I'm red green colorblind, so I'm a bad person to ask.
Yeah, it's Linton. So, anyways, the thing is, it also has prayers by the lake, the famous prayers by the lake, and it has a really good work, struggle for faith. It's one of those things. If you want to understand, this is really encapsulating the Serbian spirituality in a really profound way. It's an excellent volume. I've had it for a really, really long time. Can't say enough about it. And it's a really big deal now that we're able to offer it because, to be frank, most people haven't been able to get it. So I want to encourage everyone to pick it up because now we're distributing it for the diocese. So check it out. It's at the Our Lady of the Lost .org. And the proceeds go to help the nuns. But please check it out. Get the volumes. It's, the prologue. These are, things that you can pass down to your family. It's like, it's that valuable of spiritual work. So
if you just like good writing too, Saint Nikolai is one of the best writers.
The best.
Like it's calming and
Serbian Chrysostom.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's it for tonight. You know the deal. Thank you very much for having a good night. Bye-bye.
Be the same.
Bye bye.